Hello, welcome to Recap Part 2. I was originally going to film video with this. However, it is almost 5 in the morning and I cannot sleep. So I decided to do this instead. That doesn't necessarily prohibit filming, but the only light I have in this room, besides the top light, which I'm not going to turn on, is the lamp that I used in my last video, and it has that screen scroll flicker effect on the camera because of how the light works. And I don't want to subject you to that again. So you will have to be satisfied in silence. Wait, not silence. The other thing, darkness. It's like visual silence. I can already tell this is going to be a fantastic recording. I'm sleepy, but I can't sleep. What a joke. It's very unusual. I haven't had this happen in a long time. And I got like 90 minutes of sleep. I had to have made it through a full sleep cycle. But then I woke up and then that was it. And I don't feel that tired. I'm substantially, I was thinking in Spanish for a minute. That was strange. I'm substantially lucid, sufficiently lucid to do something like this, which is good because this is probably the most exciting part of the recap trilogy. So, when we last, you can do dramatic voice. When we last left our hero, he departed from the sunshine-filled lands of Tucson, Arizona, to set foot on an adventure of a lifetime. Not as dramatic as some of the adventures that I've done, but definitely exciting nonetheless. I don't believe I mentioned where I was going when I filmed that first recap video. So basically, I don't remember exactly how I came across this idea. Yes, I do. Never mind. It started when I went to a farmer's market one time, and I met a man who had done two things that interested me. He had worked on a cruise ship, and his description of it sounded interesting enough, something to consider. And he had also worked teaching English in Chile, as I guess the government runs a program to get people to move down there and help teach English in like remote places, in remote villages and things. They set you up with a host family who helps feed you and teach you Spanish and that kind of stuff, and you go teach English to little children. And that sounded nice too. So kind of both of those were on my radar. And through a series of events, I think a friend in Tucson told me about this website called, golly, what was it? I think it was called Coolworks. Basically, a hub where jobs and destinations in remote locations post job openings. And it's a lot of seasonal work, but these places are very beautiful and just very interesting places to go work at. They're like vacation and tourist destinations. This is in the US, by the way. I do not think they are international. So I was browsing around and I decided seasonal work seemed like a good starting place. I tried to do cruise stuff at first, but it was kind of confusing and I didn't get all the way there. So I started looking for seasonal work and I almost ended up in Colorado. I did mention that. But ultimately, the woman whose position I was going to fill, because she was leaving, she changed her mind and begged for her job back. And I never ended up getting that position, which is fine. Was fine, I guess, at the time, too. I wound up going to this place that I had never heard of before. But what wound up being extremely interesting, it is the most remote location in the contiguous United States, if you're not counting any of Alaska, because that's kind of not fair. I don't know if that counts as contiguous, because it's like on the continent, but it's not connected to the states, like the bulk of them. Anyway, it's deceiving because if I tell you that this place is in Washington, the state of Washington, you might look at that state and kind of like throw me a skeptical glance and say, Sonny, how could anywhere in this state be the most remote place in the country? Well, beautiful listener, beautiful skeptical listener, I will tell you. I will tell you exactly how it is that way. I don't remember if I've already said the name of it. I did not say the name of it. I am confirming. I just realized. The name of this place is called Stehekin. Based on that's like a Native American word, but I don't remember what it meant. The only way, this is plural, the only ways to get to Stehekin, you have two main options. The first and easiest way to get to this place is to take the ferry. There's a lake in Washington called Lake Chelan, and it is a very long lake, and it's, I think, either the third or the fifth deepest lake in the US. It's very long and kind of a strange shape. So the city of Chelan, they grow a lot of fruit there. Big agricultural city, not very big, but it's very popular. It's kind of a touristy kind of place for, mostly because of the lake, and probably partially because of all the fruit that they grow there. They grow a lot of fruit. but that's at the southeast end of the lake, and Stehekin is at the northwest end of the lake. And the easiest way to get to Stehekin is to take the ferry. There are two ferries. There's a fast one and a slower one. They both kind of do little guided tours as they're boating along. They'll explain like different scenic things on the shores. The faster one, I believe, takes a little bit over 3 hours, and the slower one takes about 4.5, maybe. So that's the easy way to get to Stehekin. The harder way is to hike there, and that involves hiking through somewhere around 25 miles of literal wilderness. Like, this is untamed land. There are no people, there are wild animals, there is very little domestication of this land. Untamed nature. It's nice that there are places like that still in our country, but not super nice to have to hike through 20 miles of it if you're trying to get somewhere. I think there are about between 80 and 100, give or take, full-time or all-year residents of Stehekin. Very, very small place. It can get very warm. It looks like a forest, but I think it's technically a desert because of how little rainfall it gets. And it does get surprisingly warm there. Man, I don't remember if we were looking at thermometers when I worked there, but I'm pretty sure it would easily get over 100 in the heat of the summer, which is interesting in Washington. That's not. I guess maybe in eastern Washington it can do that. I don't know. I haven't explored much of Washington. In the wintertime, they get a lot of snow. I think my boss said like 6 to 8 feet of snow over the winter. That's a lot of snow. As a personal, what's the opposite of an advocate? I don't know what the opposite of the person who would be an advocate would be. As an opposite, anti-advocate of snow, I was not interested in spending winter there. Since this area is so remote, it is very, very, how should I say? I was going to say uncivilized, which is kind of true, but not 100% true. I think the best part about Stehekin was how incredibly beautiful it is. Being there is like a dream. It's weird. It's like surreal how beautiful this place is. And I remember I would get up every morning and I'd bike to work, because I worked about 3.5 miles down this little dirt road, and so I would bike there. They loaned me a bike, and that was nice of them, and I did that. And every morning when I biked, I'd be so happy. Like I felt like I was living inside a painting. It was so beautiful. And I'm gonna have to show some of the pictures that I took when I was there. I guess that's a good. That'll be the interruption from darkness. I almost said silence again. I can show some of these pictures. Oh yeah, look at that one. Oh yeah, I took that myself. Oh yeah, I'm talking because I know I'm gonna do something, but I don't know what I'm doing yet. Oh wow, it's so beautiful. It was seriously very, very beautiful. Oh man. I met a lot of interesting people, very kind people for the most part. I'm not going to talk about them much or my job because I don't know. I don't really feel called to do that right now. Because I would say there are nice things I could say and there are less nice things I could say, and I'd rather just not say either of them. But I will tell you some of the highlights. No cell phone service. Almost no internet. That was incredibly profound. I was happy about that, actually, for a couple of reasons. One, because it was just interesting. It's interesting to me that a place exists in our country like this, because it is so disconnected from the rest of the world that it's almost like going back in time. I lived in a crazy cabin with sometimes some bugs and sometimes some rats. Oh man, there's some crazy stories. I had very interesting roommates at certain points. I lived in this cabin and we had electricity. It wasn't like we were living, it wasn't like primitive living, but it was simple living. And it was it was the funniest thing because I grew up this way, but it's like I don't remember that. I was too young to really for it to matter to me. But before cell phones existed, if you wanted to get a hold of someone and they were not there, you could call their house, and if they didn't answer, you leave a message. It's like that's really the only way you can contact someone in a relatively short amount of time. You could write them a letter or go walk to their house or whatever, but ultimately if you wanted to get a hold of someone, you had to like kind of phones were the basic easy way. But nowadays people are so accessible with cell phones and the invention of texting. Like it is so easy to access people, to get a hold of people. And in Stehekin, that went away, like 100%. If if you were not in the same room as someone, or in the same, I guess, space, if they're in the same house, that doesn't count. But if they weren't within earshot, there was basically no way to get a hold of them. And that was so much fun. It sounds kind of crazy, but it was just, it was like bizarre. It's something that's so normal. Like, it makes so much sense, but I had never experienced something like that as an adult. I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about it too much, but it was just so interesting. Um, Zero cell service. There was absolutely no cell phone service. There were some landline phones that the business used, or maybe they were satellite. I think they were satellite. And we did have very, very terrible satellite internet in the business, um, but no one really used it for. I mean, you had to pay for access. The employees got a little bit of access for free, but you had like a limit, and no one is doing anything like remotely bandwidth heavy because it's just not accessible, not good internet, but useful for certain things. Like if you wanted food, the easiest or most affordable way for us to get food is to place an order through email with one of the local grocery stores in Chilean, and they would send up whatever you ordered on the next ferry, and there was like a fee for that. You'd pay for them to send it up, but I mean, you gotta eat, so it's worth it. Maybe sometime I will tell some of the stories because I keep thinking of them, and entertaining. The part I liked the simple living without internet and without cell phones because it really connected you with your environment, and there was just such a feeling. Um, what's the word I'm trying to think of? I'm like trying to think. Overwhelming feeling, overriding feeling. I'm like not thinking of the word. This feeling of peace and calmness was just always kind of there, like in the background, because this place was incredibly beautiful and incredibly just untouched by technology and this crazy rapid pace of the world. It's like our modern world has gotten so much faster, and you step into a place like this and everything slows down, and it's a breath of fresh air in a figurative sense. It's like you're living your life at this, what do they call it, the rat race, this high stress rapid environment, and you step out of that into somewhere like Stehekin, and it's like taking a rain check, taking a break from the world for a little bit, and relaxing. You really can, I guess you don't have to, this doesn't have to be the way that it works for you, but this is what happened to me, where I could take a step back and look at my life and look at myself from a distance, and kind of as a checkpoint, like, is this where I want to be? Is this what I want to be doing? You get some new insights into yourself. And of course, you can do this anywhere in nature. Just go camping. Just get out and reflect. Do some introspection. It's not like that part is unique to Stehekin. Stehekin's just a place where you can't really avoid it because you have no other choice. You're kind of stuck there, especially when you live there working a seasonal job. You are you are committed to tuning in to yourself. So that was great. I really, really got so much benefit out of that. I cannot emphasize that enough. But the other point, which I've been trying to make and haven't made it yet, about the lack of technology there, is the tinnitus that I have. I'm sure I've mentioned this in any of my videos, probably my older ones, but I have ringing in my ears. My ears ring constantly. But it's very normal to me. It's happened as long as I can remember, and it doesn't bother me. It's always there, and I don't care about it. But recently I've been led to believe that I don't know if it is all related to this. I think it very well could be. That this ringing is just my ears perceiving some sort of electricity or wireless technology, because it is definitely affected by Wi-Fi. If I am near signals of Wi-Fi or routers and things, and also it appears to be affected by electricity. So I think that a lot of it is just my perception of these really high frequency energies. And this is validated when I went to Stehekin, because when I was out away from buildings and things, it was completely quiet. It was some of the few places that I've been in my entire life where I could hear like nothing. And maybe that's not entirely accurate, but the ringing wasn't there, and that's the biggest difference. But when I was in our cabin, the ringing would still be there, quite loud in some areas, and like towards not the generator. The parts that were loudest in the cabin were by the water filter, because our water came straight from the river that was behind our house, and they ran it through some sort of weird chemicals and whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was, but that thing was noisy. Not really, like, it didn't really make a lot of noise, but that ringing was really bad by it. I didn't like that, but yeah, my room happened to be the closest to that thing. I didn't realize that until now. That's kind of lame. Stehekin was also the first time that I got to try out a kayak, and that was a lot of fun. Okay, I'm not going to share the stories in this recap because it would be too disorganized, and I don't know. I don't like to talk about people very much when I don't know. I don't like to share things about other people without their permission or without like a decent reason to. You're all just like random anecdotes from me and my life. They're not that important to any of this message. Kayaking was fun. I enjoyed that. I think I only went once, but I would have done it more if opportunities presented themselves. I wound up leaving Stehekin earlier than anticipated, mostly because there was some medical events in my family, and I had the opportunity to help them out a little bit, which is nice. That's not something I've been given a lot of opportunities to do. My family has definitely helped me greatly in the past, and I was grateful to have an opportunity to reciprocate and to help them again. So that was kind of the part 2.5. Part 2 was Stehekin, and when I went there and worked there, and it really put me in a very good place again. I was very excited about my life and my future, and things have not turned out the way that I expected them to. Surprise. But it kind of realigned me with, I don't know, just it put me in a good spot. And part 2.5 was when I went back to my family and stayed with them for a while. Kind of, I'll probably gloss over that part too, because it really wasn't that interesting. Thinking if there's anything worth mentioning. I'll spare you the family drama. You're welcome. I tried not to stay there very long because that place is sort of, it's hard to explain without going into a long tangent about it. But to me, that place feels like living in mud. It's like everything I do there is I have to trudge through mud just to get anything done, and things do not work well for me. It's like a no-flow zone where things do not go well. So once I was able to help them kind of readjust and address the things that needed addressing, I focused all of my efforts on getting out of that place. And eventually I was successful. And that brought me to part 3, which is where I'm at now. There's a part 4 coming up soon, for the record. But it's not here yet, and it won't be here yet until it might, if all things, I'm not going to talk about part 4 yet. I'm getting way ahead of myself. I haven't even started part 3. What am I even thinking? So, I hope you have enjoyed part 2. And even though there's no video, I left you in eye silence. It's not like it's a surprise. Most of my videos would be like this anyway, or have been like this. But I am still interested in doing more camera stuff. And today I got some kind of troubling news that may very well affect the future of this channel. So, you will be hearing more of that soon. Probably, oops. Probably what I will do is I will make something to go in between part 2 and part 3. Then I'll make part 3, which is where I'm at now. And then I will make kind of a what's next, the future of Rayy ASMR. Both me as a person and me as a channel, because things, I don't know what to expect. Things might change before I get to that video, but we will see. It shouldn't be that much longer. I should have, I'm gonna have to, let's see, now I'm just thinking this isn't useful to record. I feel like I had a plan, but now I'm not remembering it or my mind changed. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed part 2. I seriously encourage you to go somewhere you've never been and get lost. That sounds kind of mean, but I don't mean it like that. I don't mean to be mean. I mean to lose yourself. Sometimes that's the best way to be found, the best way to find yourself. And sometimes that's all you need. I'm content with that. Feels like a good ending point. Now I just want to breathe. I wonder if I could sleep. I wonder if you hear this jet. I wonder how long I've been recording. I wonder if I will sleep at all tonight. I guess I already did sleep anymore tonight. I have a lot to do today. hope you are happy. I do. I really do. Maybe not always. I think it's okay to be unhappy sometimes, or any sort of non-happy emotion. There's a bunch of them. Because it's all part of the process. It's all part of the game. But I hope overall, or at least in moments, you have peace. Not just a little bit, like a total peace. Sometimes it can come when you least expect it. But I'm sure it's always welcome. I hope that you're able to find that more and more as your life goes on. And learn how to create it for yourself. Not to leave it to the whims of chance. Being at fate's mercy. I'm still coherent, but I'm not very eloquent right now. Which is okay. Good night. Sleep well. And I wish you the greatest of dreams, both waking and sleeping.